The medical bay smelled like burnt ozone and regret. Dr. Vellix pressed 3 of his 6 hands against the observation glass, watching the human slumped in the chair beyond. The creature looked bored. Actually bored. Blood was literally eating through the collection tray beneath his arm, and he was examining his fingernails like he was waiting for a shuttle that ran late. Technician Core, Vellix's voice came out higher than intended. Are you absolutely certain we followed decontamination protocols? Core's antennae twitched nervously. Triple-checked, Doctor. The human brought nothing with him. No weapons. No chemical agents. Nothing. Then why, Vellix gestured at the dissolving tray with mounting hysteria, is his blood melting through reinforced titanium? The human, who'd introduced himself as Marcus Webb, glanced up. Is there a problem? A problem? A problem? Vellix felt his secondary heart skip a beat. The collection tray now had a hole the size of his fist, edges still sizzling. Droplets of the human's blood were creating small craters in the floor plating below. Your blood, Vellix managed, is corrosive. Marcus blinked. Once. Twice. Then his face did that strange stretching thing humans called a smile. Wait, yours isn't? No. Vellix nearly shrieked. Blood is not supposed to dissolve matter. It transports oxygen. It fights infection. It does not eat through military-grade infrastructure. Huh. Marcus scratched his head, seemingly unconcerned that his bodily fluids were classified as a chemical weapon by 17 different galactic treaties. I always thought everyone's blood was kinda, acidic. Core made a sound like a dying accordion. Acidic? Acidic? Sir, your blood has a pH level that technically shouldn't exist outside of industrial waste sites. Marcus shrugged. Bodies are weird, man. Vellix wanted to scream. He'd been a doctor for 40 cycles. 40. He'd treated Gorvan tentacle rot. He'd survived the Great Plague of Sector 7. He'd once removed a parasite from a Clixian's 3rd stomach while the patient insisted on staying awake to provide commentary. But this? This was beyond his comprehension. Explain, Vellix demanded, attempting to regain some professional composure. Explain how your species evolved with corrosive blood and didn't immediately die out. Well, Marcus leaned back, causing the chair to creak alarmingly. I'm not a scientist or anything, but I think it's because our insides are, built for it. The blood stays inside. Usually. Usually? Core whispered. Yeah, unless you get cut or whatever. Then it comes out and, Marcus gestured vaguely at the still dissolving tray, does its thing. Vellix felt faint. Gets cut. You're telling me that every time a human sustains an injury, they release a substance that can melt through solid metal? I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds dramatic. Dramatic? Vellix's voice cracked across 3 octaves. Your people are walking biohazards. Marcus frowned. That's kinda rude, dude. Rude? Rude? I have to fill out 17 incident reports now. The cleaning crew is going to quit. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find someone willing to handle materials that violate the Geneva Protocols? What's a Geneva Protocol? Vellix stared. Core stared. Even the medical equipment seemed to stare. You don't know what? Vellix took a deep breath through his ventilation slits. Never mind. Different species. Different references. Fine. Fine. Let's start over. Marcus Webb of Earth, how did your species develop what is essentially acid for blood? Marcus thought about it. Evolution? That's not an answer. Sure it is. Maybe a long time ago, something tried to eat our ancestors, bit them, and then was like, ow, this tastes terrible and is burning my mouth, and then left them alone. Natural selection and stuff. Vellix felt his career flashing before his eyes. So you're suggesting that humans survived predation by being poisonous to consume? Makes sense to me. Nothing about this makes sense. Vellix pressed all 6 hands against his face. Your blood is destroying my medical equipment. My very expensive medical equipment. How am I supposed to run tests? Maybe use something that doesn't dissolve? Marcus offered helpfully. Everything dissolves. We've tried ceramic. We've tried plastics. We've tried organic compounds. Your blood doesn't discriminate. It hates all matter equally. Marcus looked genuinely apologetic now. Sorry, document. I didn't know this was gonna be a whole thing. Back home, everyone's blood is like this. Everyone's blood. Vellix trailed off. A horrible realization was dawning. Marcus. How many humans are there? On Earth? Like, 8 billion, give or take. Cor dropped his datapad. It clattered against the floor with an ominous finality. 8, Vellix repeated slowly, billion creatures with corrosive blood. Yeah, Earth's pretty crowded. And you people just live together? In cities? Sure. Vellix needed to sit down. He needed to sit down immediately. Unfortunately, the nearest chair was currently being used by the human biohazard, so he settled for leaning heavily against the wall. His primary heart was doing concerning things. Arrhythmic things. Let me get this straight. Vellix's voice had taken on a dangerous calm. The kind of calm that preceded either enlightenment or complete mental collapse. 8 billion of you. Living on one planet. All carrying what amounts to industrial solvent in your veins. And you've never thought this was unusual? Marcus shrugged again. Vellix was starting to hate that gesture. I mean, how would we know? It's not like we meet a lot of aliens. You're actually the first non-humans I've encountered. Well, unless you count Steve from accounting, but that guy's weird for other reasons. Focus, please. Vellix snapped. Your species has been cleared for diplomatic contact. You have 12 colony ships scheduled to arrive in various sectors over the next orbital cycle. And nobody thought to mention that humans are essentially mobile chemical weapons? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Marcus held up his hands defensively. That's harsh. We're very friendly. We bring casseroles to new neighbors and everything. Cor, who had recovered enough to pick up his datapad, looked up with wide eyes. What's a casserole? Food, Marcus explained. You bake it in a dish and share it. It's nice. Your species shares food, Vellix said flatly, despite having blood that could be weaponized by every military in the galaxy. Well, yeah. The blood stays inside while we're eating. Usually. Stop saying usually. Marcus jumped slightly. Okay. Geesh. You're really stressed about this, huh? Stressed? Vellix was redefining the term. Marcus Webb. I need you to understand something. In the entire recorded history of the Galactic Council, spanning 3,000 years and 400 member species, not one has possessed corrosive biological fluids. Not one. You are unique. Terrifyingly, catastrophically unique. Cool. Marcus ventured. Not cool. Vellix began pacing, which was complicated with 6 legs but excellent for burning off panic. Do you know what happens when humans get into bar fights? Or sports accidents? Or, heaven forbid, actual combat situations? Marcus thought about it. People bleed? People bleed acid. Everywhere. What does your species use to clean up these situations? Paper towels? Maybe a mop? Cor made that dying accordion sound again. Paper towels. They clean up Class 5 corrosive materials with paper towels. Sometimes we use the fancy ones with patterns, Marcus added helpfully. Vellix stopped pacing. A thought had occurred. A terrible, horrible thought that made his tertiary stomach clench. Marcus. When humans reproduce, there's blood involved, yes? I mean, birth is kinda messy. And you do this in hospitals? Medical facilities? Places with equipment and other patients? Yeah, maternity wards. They're usually nice. My sister had her baby in one with a view of the mountains. Mountains, Vellix repeated numbly. She gave birth, bleeding corrosive fluids, in a room with a nice view. The view doesn't really matter when you're in labor, but afterward it's pleasant. I'm going to lose my medical license, Vellix muttered. I'm going to lose my license and spend the rest of my days in a psychiatric facility explaining how I discovered humans are made of nightmare fuel. Marcus stood up. The chair beneath him had developed several suspicious dents. Look, document. I get that this is weird for you. But humans have been dealing with our biology for, forever. We've got it handled. We have bandages and stitches and stuff. It's fine. Bandages, Vellix echoed. You put cloth over wounds containing acid. Special cloth. Medical grade. What does medical grade mean to a species that considers pH levels a suggestion? Vellix demanded. Before Marcus could answer, the door to the medical bay slid open. A tall, thin alien with purple skin and too many eyes entered. Ambassador Calax, head of the Human Integration Initiative. Dr. Vellix. Excellent news. The rest of the human diplomatic team has arrived early. They're waiting in conference room 3 for their medical evaluations. Quillax's face did something approximating a smile. I trust the first examination went smoothly. Vellix looked at the dissolving tray. He looked at the pitted floor. He looked at Marcus, who waved cheerfully. Smoothly, Vellix heard himself say. Yes. Very smooth. Wonderful. The team consists of 15 humans. I'll send them down immediately. 15. 15 more walking chemical spills. As Calax left, Cor turned to Vellix with terror in all 4 eyes. Doctor. What do we do? Vellix straightened his medical coat. He'd survived 40 cycles of practice. He'd survived plagues and parasites and patients who insisted on diagnosing themselves using the galactic internet. He could survive humans, probably, maybe. Cor, he said with more confidence than he felt, order every containment unit we have. The expensive ones made from materials I can't pronounce. Then contact the medical supply company and ask if they have anything rated for, and I quote, apocalyptic biological scenarios. And if they ask why? Vellix looked at Marcus, who was now examining a poster about proper tentacle hygiene with fascination. Tell them, Vellix said tiredly, that humans have arrived. They'll understand. Marcus glanced back. Hey doc. Just so you know, some people's blood clots faster than others. Mine's pretty average. But my buddy James? His takes forever. Just thought you should know before you meet him. Vellix felt his secondary heart stop entirely this time. It was going to be a very, very long day.